It's even more by raping a woman, binding her, and suffocating her.
So if it is the same unsub, you could argue that there's a progression of violence with every kill.
Could be an anger excitation offender getting more daring with each crime.
I think I got something here. Look at this. The slashes in the prostitute's throat. They're all shallow, unshort cuts. The Kayla James crime scene, telephone cord, rope, and duct tape were used. It's like he couldn't decide how to bind her.
So without a gun, he's sloppy, inexperienced?
The young couple shot in the car. That crime scene remind you of anything?
Yeah, they were shot with a .44 Bulldog, just like the son of Sam used on his victims, which were also young couples in parked cars. And might be nothing, but you're right, there's a parallel there.
With the second victim, it's hard not to think of Jack the Ripper. The obvious similarity being it's a prostitute whose throat was slashed.
Kayla James was bound, tortured, raped with a plastic bag over her head like BTK.
What about victim number one?
Garcia, what neighborhood was he found in?
At a park in the Kingsbury Run area.
Zoe reminded me last night that Cleveland's most famous serial killer was the butcher of Kingsbury Run. He found his victims in gay bars, shot them, and dumped their body there. Travis Bartlett was last seen at a gay bar, and his body was found in Kingsbury Park.
So these are copycats of famous serial killers?
He's a serial killer studying serial killers.
See you in Cleveland, Dave.
Guys, we're in that room. Coffee's brewing.
Get started on the evidence boards.
Detective Brady's our point. I'll let you all introduce yourselves. JJ, can you help me out with something?
Sure.
This has to be confidential.
I know it may seem far-fetched, but copycat killers are not entirely uncommon.
This one happens to be copying several different killers.
But if he's trying to be the butcher of Kingsbury Run, why didn't he cut up and mutilate the victims like the real guy?
That was 7 weeks ago. It was just getting started. Beginning killers are often frightened of the crime itself. They're more interested in getting it over with as quickly as possible and fleeing the scene.
He was just using the butcher's ruse as a way to lure the victim to be alone with him.
By the time he killed Kayla James 3 days ago, he'd progressed. He came very close to copying all of the BTK's MO.
He's reading, learning, borrowing from others because he doesn't know who he is yet.
And because of this, we think he's young and impressionable, maybe even a student.
Someone probably enrolled in criminology classes. Our technical analyst is going through names of local students right now.
Up to this point, changing his MO has prevented investigators from linking the crimes. That's why we need to work quickly.
You're sure about this?
It's not a coincidence that all of these random violent murders in a localized area are copycats of serial killers.
It's as if all the worst serial killers have converged on Cleveland. Every time he plans to kill, the murder weapon, the MO, and the victimology will all change. Detective, will you let your team know we're ready to give a preliminary profile?
Sure.
Thanks. I gotta go.
Hutch, I'm gonna step out for this one. Clear my head.
Okay.
Garcia found 3 male students enrolled in criminology classes with felony records.
Good, we'll interview them.
I don't think we need to. One of them is studying abroad, the other 2 are back in jail on other charges.
Tell Garcia to check enrollment in online and correspondence courses, see if we have any luck with those parameters.
All right.
You guys handle the profile?
Yeah, everything okay?
Everything's fine.
We have 6 homicides in a 7-mile radius in East Cleveland. Now, this small zone indicates that he's a geographically stable offender.
This type of offender is characterized as young, socially immature, of average intelligence with psychopathic personality traits.
They also usually live alone and have an antisocial nature.
A serial killer's first murder is very telling. This unsub's first murder, he chose the MO of Cleveland's own Butcher of Kingsbury Run.
The Butcher isn't as well known as other famous serial killers, but he is a local legend.
And because he picked the Butcher to be first, we believe he's a native of Cleveland and probably grew up hearing stories of the Butcher.
This is someone who is obsessed with serial killers. His computer will be filled with research on them.
He'll have abundant images of murders on his computer and possibly even snuff films. He uses these like pornography. They provide some sort of sexual release.
I think he went back to relive his crime. When Zoe showed up, she became a victim of opportunity.
It's the same theory we arrived at on the plane. He strangled her with her own scarf. He didn't plan it. I think she surprised him.
I told her not to stop until she found the answers she was looking for. I didn't think she would go to a crime scene.
Her mom said it's something that she does all the time. She probably would have gone anyway.
But it's because of what I said that she was encouraged to go there last night.
Dave, what are you doing?
She came to me and I dismissed her.
Try not to personalize it.
I was the last one she talked to before she was murdered. How is this not personal, Aaron?
Okay. It's personal. That doesn't change how we go about finding her killer. We know that violent criminals develop a signature over a series of crimes. If he's young, he probably hasn't even figured out what his is yet.
Find the signature, we can link the crimes.
He's probably monitoring the news, seeing if the police have connected them yet. We can use that. We can utilize the media.
And I think I know who we can talk to.
I knew homicides were up, but nobody said anything about a serial killer. Why do I get a visit from the BAU?
You're Paula McConnell, Cleveland's #1 source in crime news. You're detailed, you have a following. He's reading you.
We need you to write that the police have found his signature.
You can help us by explaining what his signature is in your article.
It's a killer's personal stamp, his distinctive touch that he leaves at the scene of every crime.
Well, I've been doing this for 18 years. I know what a signature is, honey.
Well, we just really need you to be detailed about this. We're speaking directly to him.
Through my column.
He's doing something, a behavioral impulse he feels compelled to do, but a need-driven act to get a sexual release that's specific to his psyche.
This repetitive behavior at each crime scene will lead us to him.
Let me take a stab at it.
Yeah, Reed. They just found another body.
Bringing him up right now. Teenagers found him a little over an hour ago.
It's petechia in the whites of his eyes. Judging from the bruising, he was probably strangled with a wire.
Is this our guy?
It's gotta be. A jogger doesn't get garroted every day.
Whatever signature he may have left was probably washed away in the water.
Well, who's he mimicking now?
Bike path rapist Altemio Sanchez comes to mind. He patrolled bike paths near Buffalo, garroting his victims. It looks like he copied everything except for the rape.
Strangulation is a repetition of his last murder with Zoe. First time he's repeated himself.
Zoe's murder was spontaneous, though. He didn't plan it. He acted on instinct and did what came naturally to him.
Maybe what came naturally felt good to him and he wanted to feel it again.
If he's starting to repeat a pattern, he may have found himself.
Zoe Hawkes. Hawkes.
Very good.
I'm Danny. I want you to call us if you have any questions at all. We're gonna take great care of her. Okay? You're all set.
Do I pay the bill here?
No, ma'am. The bill's been taken care of by an anonymous donor.
See anything else in there?
Just the notations of an observant student. I've been thinking, though, Zoe got all of her information from the newspapers and from Paula McConnell's column. There's no way she could have known about every homicide in the city.
Well, not every homicide's reported in the papers.
So how do we know the unsub didn't commit more murders than the ones noted in their journals?
We don't.
We can check missing persons and see if anyone was last seen in the unsub's operating zone.
Well, a young person's mind is so active. Yours, Zoe's, and I imagine this unsub's too.
I think when we get him, he'll be curious. He'll ask questions.
Rossi, heads up. She knows.
Did you do this? I don't need or want your money. I have taken care of my daughter for 22 years, and she is still my responsibility. I don't need any help from you. You didn't even know her.
I'm sorry if I've offended you.
Just leave us alone.
All right. We found another body. East Cleveland. Strangulation marks.
This was recent. The bruises on her neck are still reddish.
No other obvious signs of trauma.
Well, this isn't a bike path like the last one. Which serial killer is he mimicking now?
I don't think he is mimicking anymore. He's starting to show consistency. I think he's developing his own style.
Has anybody touched her?
No, they had instructions to wait for us in the ME.
Where's he?
Dr. Edwards! Here he comes.
Hi, Agent Hotchner. Could you take a look at this spot on her forehead?
Strange. Let me swab her and get her back to the lab.
Thanks.
3 murders in the last 3 days. Something's causing his frenzy.
Could be a drastic change in his life, something he lost control of.
Or it could be something he gained control of, like himself. If he's finally defined himself as a strangler, he may just be practicing, perfecting his style. He may have awakened.
Coroner just called. Preliminary test confirmed cetyl alcohol on the homeless woman's forehead.
He sterilized it?
Why would he do that?
Maybe he did something to her forehead. Used an alcohol wipe to remove evidence.
Well, if that's the case, it certainly wasn't necessary to the crime. This could be part of his signature.
We should look at other victims to see if he did something similar.
Any evidence on the last victim was washed away in the water.
And all the other bodies were either buried or cremated.
Except for one. I know you don't want to see me, but please hear me out. We need Zoe's body to go back to the coroner's office. Zoe's murderer left a clue on her body. There's a chance we can find him from this clue, but we have to examine her again.
All I want to do is put her to rest.
Zoe chose to study criminology because she believed in bringing criminals to justice.
Can't guarantee the evidence hasn't been compromised.
The mortician hadn't touched her yet.
Even so, she's been transported more times than I'd like. Don't want anyone to get their hopes up.
Just make sure the evidence gets to Quantico quickly.
East Cleveland homicides, first quarter to date. 5 out of 9 unsolved. January 22nd, prostitute murdered, downtown at 5th and Main. January 9th, man shot at Kingsbury Park. No witnesses. February 15th, Kayla James, lived alone. First home invasion. February 8th, murder. Young couple shot in car. No apparent motive. Investigate. Why are locations different? Page 47, Rossi's book. There are no coincidences.
Garcia, you got something?
Yeah, the boys in the lab found trace amounts of saliva on Zoe's forehead, enough for a DNA sample. So we got a CODIS match on Eric Ryan Olson, 23, Cleveland native, did 2.5 years for attempted sexual assault and was paroled 6 months ago.
We thought for sure he'd be a student.
That's because he was. While he was in the Slammer, he took independent correspondent classes in forensic science and criminology from an out-of-state school.
Call the team. Let's get a search warrant.
Yeah.
Claire! Claire!
Bree, check the computer. Detective, we should talk to the neighbors, find out where he goes, where he might be on a weeknight.
Eric. He's reading my books.
Don't know how long, baby, I can hold on. But I gotta tell you one thing.
Bree, anything?
Al's Ale House. That's like 5 miles away.
It's on a schedule for tonight.
Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
He was alone at the bar,
When did he leave?
like 10 minutes ago.
Did he talk to anyone?
Linda. He left right after she did.
Thanks.
Got it, Hotch.